quello che è acceso. Urla.
Benvenuti! Hello! Hi!
Hi guys,
Thank
we're
you
about to start.
Thank you for coming to this presentation. If we can connect the screen to the PowerPoint. Thank you all so much for coming. Our presentation is called Media Making Millennials, We Run This. And before we start, I just wanted to introduce, this is Giorgia, Carolina, Chiara, Francesca, sono Costanza, I'm Costanza. And I just wanted to say that our presentation is both in Italian and in English, so just make sure you're situated with live translation. I wanted to thank you for coming. Also wanted to thank Beyonce for the We Run This reference. And I wanted to ask you to be really good millennials during this presentation and live tweet as much as possible. Just use the hashtag #WeRunThis and of course IJF15. So with that, we wanted to share our experiences as millennials and tell our story. And we're excited to hear from you, your questions and comments after our presentation. Thank you so much.
So, it all started with a book. This book. So when Italian-born Al Jazeera English journalist Barbara Serra mentioned Costanza as an outstanding example of work experience in her book, I decided to contact her. After all, why not? We had sort of the same heritage and we shared a passion for journalism. When we met in New York, we knew that we wanted more than just a Skype call. Meanwhile, because of the same book, Francesca, involved with TED Bologna, Facebook messaged Costanza. Then, basically, it all snowballed from there because Costanza got her cousin Chiara involved, while Francesca added Giorgia, a student and a blogger, to the conversation. In the space of a few months, 5 complete strangers from across 4 different countries came together. This presentation is the result of hours of hard work, a blend of different social media tools, and the coordination among different time zones. Basically, we'd like to show you today what millennial media essentially is, which is a blend of interactivity, journalism, but also self-marketing. So welcome to our presentation.
All right. So I think our first big question here is, what is a millennial? First of all, do we have any millennials here with us today? Okay, perfect. Anyone who isn't a millennial, do you think you know what a millennial is? No? Okay, perfect. That means that our presentation has some kind of reason behind it. I think that if you ask the media, they might say that millennials are a generation known for holding up cameras, for constantly taking pictures of themselves and posting them on the internet. They might say that millennials are narcissistic, overconfident, entitled, and even lazy, which is exactly what Joel Stein wrote for Time magazine in an article entitled The Me Generation. But why all this negativity? I mean, it's millennials, the generation born between 1980 and 2000, do spend a lot of time on the web, and in particular on social media. But instead of resorting to criticism, let's try to understand how this new breed of global citizen functions and what makes them tick. After all, by 2025, they will make up 75% of the global workforce. So millennials are not just the digital generation, they're the generation of self-expression. Unlike the idealist baby boomers and the skeptical independents of Generation X, millennials are far from rebellious, but they're also in no way attracted to the idea of living a life that was planned out for them by someone else. So let's take a look into millennial life. Millennials spend 18 hours a day with media, 30% of which is spent on user-generated content created by their peers. So there's no one commonly accepted definition of user-generated content, although we can generally agree that it implies any form of content that was created by consumers and made publicly available to other consumers over the internet. A 2007 report by the OECD's Directorate of Science, Technology, and Industry elaborates on this definition, proposing 3 essential characteristics of UGC. First of all, UGC must be published in some context. It also must be the product of creative effort, and it is generally created outside of a professional context. Even simply writing reviews online, tweeting, and using platforms such as Pinterest constitute UGC. And more people are taking advantage of such accessible tools in order to engage in news commentary, often achieving status and credibility as a result. UGC is also 35% more memorable than traditional media and 50% more trusted by millennials. In fact, peer reviews are just as trusted as professional reviews. So Axel Burns coined the term producage to describe the process of producing and using content simultaneously, made possible by a continuous collaboration among users of a community. Producage platforms are usually anti-hierarchical in that they're based on the principles of consent and collaboration. In fact, those who attempt to exert excessive control over a given project are usually ousted or abandoned by fellow community members. So what does this all mean for journalism? It's clear that the relationship between professional journalists and various forms of citizens journalism is in a state of constant renegotiation. Now, on more neutral platforms such as Twitter, amateurs and professionals can coexist and even engage in discussion, blurring boundaries once marked by us versus them stereotypes. So it's no surprise that millennials are much more willing to share both personal information and opinions than older generations. However, this defining characteristic might be both a blessing and a pitfall. Unfortunately, the rise of amateur-created content also means that it's becoming far too easy to publish false information that will often go unquestioned. In 2008, for example, CNN's citizens journalism blog iReport published a bogus story claiming that former Apple CEO Steve Jobs had suffered a major heart attack. The story was later removed, but not before making its rounds on social media, creating an uproar on the web, and causing Apple's stock price to fall by 10%. So this is just one reminder of why citizens journalism absolutely needs journalists with professional standards to provide models, leadership, and adequate moderation of UGC sources. So now that we've seen UGC and its relationship to millennials, let's take a look at what was perhaps the first clear step towards the union of traditional journalism and new media. I'm talking about blogs. Blogs are a surefire way of comprehending and connecting with millennial journalists and reaching digital native audiences. The misconception that millennials just aren't interested in the news or would rather gather their news from Facebook just isn't true. Rather, very few media and news organizations have bothered catering to their interests or proposing innovative modes of news gathering. Medium is a platform created by Twitter co-founders Ev Williams and Biz Stone, meant to facilitate the blogging process, both for those who do so already or those who would like to start. Its clean format and comment system creates a pacific atmosphere, which, notes Times writer Harry McCracken, discourages that angry mob effect that's so widespread on the web. Medium can also be particularly useful for professional journalists who would like to perhaps publish something unrelated to the usual themes of their own blog, but which they retain particularly important and thus worthy of publishing on some other platform. Erin Lowry is a 25-year-old millennial with a blog that offers advice on how to be, in her own words, a fiscally responsible member of Generation Me. Although she doesn't technically have a background in finances, and she states clearly in her blog that she is by no means certified to give professional financial advice, her blog, Broke Millennial, has been so successful that it's been syndicated to Business Insider and featured in a number of publications, including Reuters, USA Today, Forbes, and more. So how did a graduate in journalism and theater manage to create a blog on millennial finances that was so successful? Well, simply by telling funny stories of her own financial mishaps and how she managed to solve them. In other words, by turning a lesson in finances into something relatable and comprehensible to her fellow millennials. So, as we've seen, the vast majority of millennials use the internet, in particular user-generated content, to get informed, make decisions, and share ideas. Why not take advantage of that? I urge journalists to be open to the idea of using social media and other forms of citizens journalism in order to contextualize information. And of course, many journalists already do so. But I also ask them to allow their own stories to transform from finished products into the unfinished, evolving artifacts common to producage processes. Without the example of professionals to emphasize the traditional principles of journalism and serve as a guide for those who wish to pursue a similar path in a world of constant technological, and social development, a potentially powerful field of journalism risks falling into a bottomless and autoreferential pit.
So, as Georgia has said, the fact that Twitter has changed journalism is really no longer news. But how has this social network affected the way journalists do their jobs? So my undergraduate dissertation, which I presented at the academic conference ECREA in Lisbon in 2014, tried to address just that. So according to Smith, social media are the new public square and have become as important to document as any other public gathering. So for my dissertation, I looked at how the most followed UK journalists on Twitter used this social network to report on the death of former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, which happened in 2013. So Thatcher was a particularly controversial figure for the way she dealt with strikes, for how she tried to curb union power. So most journalists were bound to have quite a strong opinion about her. So to look at common good journalism practice, I looked at the BBC guidelines. So the BBC guidelines say that the corporation strives for accountability, accuracy, impartiality, independence and transparency. For my dissertation, I analyzed about 500 tweets, and considering that in these 500 tweets, half of them contained an expression of opinion, for and against Thatcher, but to be honest, mostly against, I ended up concluding that Twitter has changed journalism in a number of ways. So first of all, it's changing the way journalists communicate out in the open. They get involved in public discussions, and they use it as a personal tool rather than like a professional tool, which means that in their Twitter bios, like Owen Jones up here from The Guardian, they have to write, "Views expressed are mine, not my company's." Secondly, original tweets without any source attribution have become a status update, just like on Facebook. And thirdly, Twitter is a new way to obtain quotes. By screenshotting someone else's tweet or retweeting, journalists are essentially quoting, using quoted text. For instance, at the bottom you see a tweet that was retweeted by a Guardian journalist, sort of making fun of the guest list of Margaret Thatcher's funeral. So we have to remember, though, that journalists are still the gatekeepers when it comes to spreading information. So according to a survey by Experian and Hitwise, the main sources of news online are still various parts of the BBC, followed by the Daily Mail, Sky News, The Guardian, the Daily Telegraph, and The Sun. And although most bloggers, like for instance Gaz Caulfield during the riots, or the showbiz blogger Paris Hilton, or the sort of mass of lifestyle bloggers in London are cutting out their niche, it turns out that in the end, Twitter and social media are the only way that millennials can make their voice heard. So, how many people in this room have ever been on an unpaid internship? Well, not many of you guys are lucky. But yeah, so what's happening now is that millennials are choosing social media to change journalism from the outside, because according to a survey from the Sutton Trust, 22,000 out of 70,000 people on internships are without pay. According to an article by The Guardian, only 8% graduates in 2013 had a job after graduation. The sentence that most graduates read in like rejection emails, when they even get any, is, "You don't have enough experience to get this job." So as a recent article in the Evening Standard magazine written by Nick Curtis said, the cash-poor, property-poor text generation needs to be rich in novel modes of communications and discourse. So essentially, Twitter and social media are our business cards. I signed up on Twitter just before university because I didn't want to miss out on what my fellow students were doing. After all, I was just a teenager in Sardinia who was too busy during her high school just listening to metal and studying instead of doing journalism, while my friends had already work experience in some TV stations, radio stations, newspapers. In the end, though, by the end of my degree, I managed to use Twitter to find sources, to promote my blog, and I ended up tweeting to so many restaurants I was reviewing that they even gave me free drinks and free meals sometimes. So this is how I was sort of found out by some companies that needed a community manager, which brings us to how millennials get hired, part 2, which is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional tool, which means that you tend not to share pictures of your food on it. So I signed up for LinkedIn when I joined a business-oriented student society at university because I suddenly had a small CV to put on it. By constantly engaging with LinkedIn during my final year, I managed to get headhunted by a recruitment company that was my first paid job in the UK. After university, though, I went couch surfing in the US for 2 months, and when I got back, desperately in need of the job after university to feed myself, my LinkedIn needed some TLC. So basically, I sought out recommendations from people that I worked with, and I gave recommendations myself, and I managed to be, at the time, in the top 10 LinkedIn rank among people with my skills. Now I'm a bit lazy, so I'm on top 22, so sorry about that. But basically, the LinkedIn rank is a very useful tool that shows you how you compare with people in your network and people with your skills. And it's essential when you're applying for jobs on LinkedIn, which now has a job search app. Using LinkedIn and Twitter in an interactive way and in an engaging way with the world out there helped me get where I am now, which is a kind of a happy place. I started as a paid intern for a PR agency, and now I am their full-time account executive. They're called Manifest London, and they've just opened a really cool office in Madison Avenue in New York. So at Manifest, when we're looking for people to advertise our products, be them journalists, bloggers, we look at their social media following, namely Twitter, which is basically just one more piece of evidence of how millennials on Twitter and social media have been running the show.
So let's talk about Instagram now. How many of you use Instagram to post pictures of food? Well, me too. But of course, there's more to that. Let's see how Instagram is used by millennials. Why do they prefer it to other media, for example, traditional media? And let's see how it can be used also by professionals. So first of all, Instagram's content is grouped by hashtags. Hashtags are just keywords, of course, that allow users to find content more quickly. I just want to mention 2 hashtags that I believe are good examples to show, first, how Instagram can be used to share messages, and second, how Instagram can be used for promotion, in this case, for promoting tourism. The first hashtag I want to mention is the hashtag Je suis Charlie, which of course refers to the terrorist attack that happened in Paris at Charlie Hebdo last January. The hashtag was so popular on Instagram that users didn't even have to look it up. It automatically showed up in their feed. So this is a good example to show how Instagram can be used to share some kind of message. The other hashtag is the hashtag Da fare in Sardegna, which is what to do in Sardinia. And this hashtag actually promotes tourism. A community of Instagrammers from Sardinia decided to promote Sardinia as a destination for holidays. So they decided to take pictures of beautiful places to see in Sardinia, and they post them on Instagram with the hashtag so that Sardinia could become popular as a destination for tourism. The other hashtag that I quickly want to mention is the hashtag Volterra Live 14, because it's an hashtag that was used by professionals. Photographers were called in Volterra to take photographs of buildings that are not open to the public anymore. And then post them on Instagram with the hashtag so that everybody could see what they were missing out. So this is another example of how Instagram can be used to promote some kind of tourism, but being used by professionals. So when we talk about users and audience, and we talk about Instagram, then of course, we are talking about the same people. That's because Instagram is based on user-generated content. So who are users? Who are Instagram users? Well, mostly millennials. And at this point, we all know who they are. But why do they prefer Instagram over other media, traditional media, or even other social media? That's because Instagram offers a certain type of communication. Communication that is easy, quick, direct, And on top of that, it is also visual. So just as simple as that, you see what you want to see. Instagram is also popular because of storytelling. Storytelling is a very good way of communicating because it allows users to share their personal stories, their personal experiences and beliefs. And photos are a way of telling stories. Instagram, in this way, becomes just a place where stories are told and read. And Instagram users can found a personal space on Instagram. Of course, there are some disadvantages when we use Instagram as our primary tool, our primary source of information. But let's look at the advantages first. As I said, Instagram offers direct and visual communication. So not many millennials have the time or the patience to sit and read the newspaper or to sit and watch the news because they want to know what they need to know right now. Instagram also offers a variety of topics that are grouped by hashtags, so very easy to be found. It also offers customization, so it allows users to be part of the process of communicating. But of course, if we use Instagram as our only source of information, then it's not going to be reliable, just like the internet in general, or even traditional media for that matter. Then there's the issue of copyright. It's not clear yet whether I'm allowed or not to take someone else's picture and post it wherever I want without giving the author of the picture any credit. And that might be discouraging for people who are creating content on Instagram. They might want to stop doing that. So how can we solve this? Well, maybe we can monitor the web, and we can discuss about that later. But there are two main problems. First, the web is huge, so it's very hard to monitor every corner of it. And second of all, the web is usually believed to be free, so trying to monitor it would probably raise some eyebrows.
Ok, bene, cambiamo lingua. Pinterest ha l'obiettivo di collegare le persone attraverso le cose che amano. L'idea di Pinterest è contenuta nella parola stessa, infatti abbiamo pin che sta per attaccare, fissare e interesse. Quindi l'idea è di collegare le persone e attaccare quindi sulla bacheca immagini che parlano dei nostri interessi e delle cose che amiamo. Ma cos'è Pinterest? Innanzitutto è importante capire che, come per qualsiasi altro social, gli usi da parte degli utenti sono molto vari. Per esempio, è utilizzato come piattaforma di marketing da parte di organizzatori di eventi, da parte di scrittori, da parte di artisti. Che cosa fanno? Ci sono accorti della grande capacità di Pinterest di attirare le persone verso il proprio prodotto o il proprio lavoro. Ma per molti Pinterest rappresenta anche la possibilità di organizzare e pianificare azioni in vari ambiti della vita, dalle cene ai viaggi, passando per eventi e acquisti. Spesso si tratta di azioni desiderate o semplicemente delle possibilità appunto di trovare ispirazione attraverso queste immagini e strumenti. Ok. La chiave di successo dei millennial più seguiti è legata a un contatto diretto e creativo con gli utenti. Infatti, il loro obiettivo è quello di stimolare la curiosità, accendendo il loro interesse e favorendo la condivisione. Su Pinterest gli utenti cercano qualcosa che li aiuterà, che li stimolerà, che darà loro una motivazione per qualcosa. I millennial più seguiti infatti condividono costantemente informazioni a proposito di, per esempio, tendenze, nuovi stili di vita, oppure anche, per esempio, proposte di prodotti. E possiamo notare infatti come alcuni dei contenuti più popolari siano ricette, siano per esempio anche progetti fai da te o mobili per la casa. Ho chiesto a dei millennial per quale motivo scelgono di passare così tanto tempo su Pinterest e quello che ho scoperto è che per loro non si tratta solo di un sito divertente, di intrattenimento, ma si tratta soprattutto di un sito costruttivo. Infatti spesso lasciano Pinterest dopo aver imparato qualcosa di nuovo, dopo aver scoperto un sito web oppure dopo aver letto magari un'affermazione. Alcuni lo usano semplicemente anche come alternativa per altri social media oppure per rilassarsi cercando ispirazione imparando cose nuove. Elizabeth Kirby è una scrittrice, fotografa e stilista di Nashville, Tennessee. Il lavoro di Beth è ispirato alla ricerca della bellezza nelle imperfezioni della vita di tutti i giorni. Ha più di 105.000 pin e più di 250.000 follower. Possiamo notare come spesso le immagini che troviamo sul suo account sono fatte da lei stessa. Possiamo notare anche come il design della pagina è minimale, essenziale e mette a proprio agio. Ma in realtà Pinterest può anche essere molto più che una collezione virtuale di cose carine. Per esempio The Wall Street Journal cosa ha fatto? Ha creato una bacheca con alcune delle prime pagine più celebri della testata. Per esempio, cliccando su una delle immagini in anteprima, possiamo accedere alla prima pagina del 29 ottobre del 1929, il famoso Black Monday. In realtà, riprendendo l'idea dell'archivio, come è stato fatto dal Wall Street Journal, possiamo anche vederla in modo più ampio. Per esempio, creando una bacheca che coinvolga, che copra un evento annuale che coinvolga la comunità o la cittadinanza. Per esempio, The York Daily Record ha dedicato, no, era quella prima, ha dedicato una bacheca raccogliendo delle fotografie, scusate, raccogliendo delle fotografie storiche della città e per di più cosa ha fatto? Ha chiesto anche agli utenti di contribuire mandando appunto, se si possiedono delle fotografie, immagini nella redazione in modo da ampliare la bacheca e renderla ancora più condivisa. Ma in che modo Pinterest può essere utile al giornalismo? Innanzitutto i giornalisti possono utilizzare Pinterest per la content creation, per fare ricerche, per conoscere opinioni della gente, ma anche per far conoscere e promuovere il proprio lavoro. Per esempio Time Magazine ha dedicato una bacheca alle proprie copertine settimanali. Bene, sappiamo che le immagini sono uno strumento visuale potente per comunicare messaggi. Infatti le immagini hanno la capacità di raccontare delle storie e anche il potere di evocare immediatamente emozioni in chi le osserva. Attraverso il focus sull'interesse possiamo inoltre permettere come giornalisti di, da un lato, attirare lettori in un modo nuovo e dall'altro anche accedere e quindi entrare in contatto con un audience che si imbatte per caso sui nostri contenuti perché catturano la loro attenzione. È importante per i giornalisti avere una presenza sui social media, ma non solo perché in questo modo possiamo portare lettori sulle nostre pubblicazioni, ma anche e soprattutto perché per far sì che possiamo mostrare la nostra personalità e i nostri interessi, per fare in modo che i lettori possano distinguere i giornalisti e in questo modo creare una relazione più personale con loro. Possiamo notare come Pinterest sia strettamente legato al show and tell journalism. Oggi in quella che Tom Rosenstiel ha definito la show me era of news, i giornalisti hanno bisogno di mostrare il proprio lavoro e attraverso Pinterest possiamo accedere e possiamo soprattutto raccontare il dietro le quinte, possiamo mostrare la storia sotto la storia per essere più trasparenti, vicini all'audience, permettendo quindi di creare di mostrare loro altre realtà, esplorare altre realtà e quindi di consolidare il legame di fiducia.
Okay, switching back to English. And I'm the last one, and then we're excited to hear about your thoughts. So we've just heard about a lot of different ways in which millennials are engaging in journalism through different tools. And I just want to expand our horizon to also include interactive media and digital storytelling. So let's just think about this for a second. What if you, the audience, had the power to participate in the unfolding of a story, of reporting? at your own pace, based on your own interests, right? So a lot of these kinds of creative and interactive projects are springing up all over the world, and millennials are largely spearheading these kinds of innovations. But let me give you an example, so you can wrap your mind around what I'm talking about. So in 2013, a French journalist and a filmmaker connected with 4 Syrian refugees, and together they created a web documentary series that you can see up here on screen, where the 4 Syrian refugees would constantly send videos from their locations to France, to the filmmaker and the journalist, about their context and their perspectives on the Syrian crisis. In turn, the filmmaker and the journalist would bring these videos together into episodes on a website, converging on a timeline where users could actually go through these videos, seeing the changes over a period of years of these people's lives. So this is one of the growing number of examples of creative projects, interactive projects, that, on the one hand, connect on-the-ground experiences with wider audiences, and also depend on audience participation to actually come to life, right? I want to give you some more examples, blow your brains out a little bit, and then we can evaluate what it's like. So let's take a few steps back. Everybody knows YouTube, yeah? YouTube is a way to create online communities, produce your own content, facilitate conversation. And that's what I tried to do while I was studying abroad last year in the United Arab Emirates. I was studying, but also working with a student-led independent newspaper in Abu Dhabi. And we realized that although our university has a lot of campuses all over the world, none of the students were actually talking to one another. So we said, let's get interactive, right? So we started using YouTube. We launched a series where we would connect with students all over the world through Google Hangouts, which is kind of like Skype, and talk about key issues. So right here, we're talking about the issue of labor with a student in New York, one in Abu Dhabi, and one in Shanghai. And then we involve the audience so to take the conversation offline as well after we put up the episode. But this is just the beginning, the basics of getting interactive. Let's talk about role-playing games. So interactive media is really incredible because it allows you to mix audio with text and visuals, drawing the viewer in and giving you a role to play in the unfolding of the story. Let's take Bear 71 as an example. So it was published in 2012 by the National Film Board of Canada. And Bear 71 is a documentary, an interactive game, that at its core talks about surveillance, the issue of surveillance. But it does so through the story of a grizzly bear who was collared in a Canadian national park. And what happens in this game is that you, the human, are an orange dot, and you get to follow around the grizzly bear in this imaged landscape of the park. And you get access to real live footage being filmed from the grizzly bear's camera. And also, by just turning on your camera on your computer, you can access a conversation with other users who are online at the same time as you. So in order to actually understand the issue of surveillance with Bear 71, you have to play the game. Well, let's talk about, I'll give you examples from websites, also games. What about something even more personal? Based on an app. So a friend of mine at New York University in Abu Dhabi just released a really interesting project called Typing Syria, where basically it's based entirely on WhatsApp. So you subscribe to a specific number on WhatsApp, and you get access for a month to a conversation between Saeed and Khalid, who are 2 Syrian refugees. Basically, every day, the story progresses. They talk about their personal struggles, and you get access to this conversation as if you were part of their story, connecting on-the-ground experiences onto your direct personal screen. And why not get even more alternative? Let's just go there for a second. Experiential documentaries. These are immersive physical experiences that involve the audience even more than just being on a screen. And this is a form that I tried to tackle with my thesis. I analyzed the cyber world of 2 Muslim women YouTubers, one living in the US and one living in the UK. And I present my findings in an installation. So the installation is in one room. it has two components. One is 4 videos that are spread out across the room and kind of give a different take on the YouTuber's work with different screens. Another is an interactive feature where you actually get put in the shoes of a YouTuber and feel what it's like to be performing in front of a camera, in front of a wide audience of anonymous viewers. So the reason why I decided to use an experiential documentary as the forum to talk about my findings is because I wanted you to feel on your own skin the cultural and political complications of being a minority on YouTube. And interactive media allowed me to do that. So, of course, I think you've understood the advantages of interactive media. I mean, there's plenty, right? They create online communities, facilitate conversation. You also get to engage on-the-ground perspectives with a wider audience. And because these kinds of projects need a video editor, they need a coder, they need a writer all at the same time, they make cross-media collaborations that extend globally. And that represents what journalism is like today. At the same time, we have to think about the kinds of pitfalls, right? Like, how exactly do you involve an audience? What's too much guidance? How do you make that kind of story successful? These kinds of projects also take more time and more money, so maybe they're not right for all the kinds of stories. Maybe they're best fit for just one type. And also, because we break so far from traditional media, maybe it's been a little difficult to figure out exactly who our target audience is and how to harness it, particularly. However, despite the pitfalls, I really believe that interactive media is absolutely the future of journalism. And again, millennials are spearheading this. We've grown up in an era of participant online experiences, and we were trained for this work. So I encourage all of you to check out interactive media experiences and create them on your own. It's not hard. We all have the skills to do it. Great. So we've all talked to you coming across from 4 different countries. We 5 women come to you to talk about how millennials are engaging in journalism through new media. So we're creating our own journalism, we're getting hired through it. It's really exciting. But the future of media is really, it's confusing, it's unclear. And we all have a stake in it, right? And we want to build it together with you. So just as an example of how we, us 5, can use tools to create media, in about 5 days, we rallied more than 100 people's support for our presentation using a simple platform called Thunderclap. And in doing so, we ultimately gained a presence to more than 80,000 users online, just about our presentation. All of these users were really excited about telling our story together. So, now it's your turn. We want to tell your story. You can reach out to us. You have our Twitter handles. You have all of our presentations, and we're here for you. We're really thankful for you coming to hear us speak. We wanted to definitely give a shout out to Barbara Serra, who y'all should look up because she's a really incredible person and has been a wonderful supporter to all of us. And we're excited to hear your comments. We can take questions in Italian and in English, or comments or whatever you'd like to talk about. Grazie, thank you so much. Can I take a picture? I have to. I need to tweet this out. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna take one. Okay. Ciao, Dudo.
All right, any questions? Domande? No?
Chiuso?
Pensavo volessi fare una domanda, mi scusi.
Legge.
Buongiorno, una domanda, voi avete parlato di hashtag quali Je suis Charlie, ma volevo chiedere, c'è il pericolo che certi tipi di informazioni poi vengano sottomesse anche alla forma? Penso ad esempio a Twitter, c'era molto tempo fa, c'è stato un movimento abbastanza importante per quelle ragazze nigeriane, se non sbaglio l'hashtag era Bring Back Our Girls, ma poi effettivamente c'è stata molta mobilitazione, ricordo anche foto, no, con scritto su Instagram, su Facebook, con scritto l'hashtag con il pennarello, però poi effettivamente non c'è stato un seguito, penso anche dal punto di vista giornalistico, ma anche ad esempio con, in modo anche diverso, l'Ice Bucket Challenge, in cui alla fine la forma ha completamente stravolto il senso per cui veniva fatto. C'è il pericolo, secondo voi, che diventi più importante il mi piace, il retweet rispetto a ciò che viene effettivamente twittato, cioè la sostanza? Grazie.
Ma diciamo, anche per quanto riguarda i media tradizionali, io mi ricordo, avendo studiato in Inghilterra, dove comunque il giornalismo è molto più immediato rispetto al nostro, cioè la struttura di un articolo in inglese è di solito intro che ti dice comunque di che cosa sta parlando quell'articolo, che ti dà un riassunto proprio di quell'articolo e poi approfondisce, mentre noi approfondiamo subito dall'inizio. Molto spesso i giornalisti inglesi, anche tipo negli anni '80, con determinate campagne anche elettorali, nella copertura mediatica di campagne elettorali di vari politici, sono stati accusati di dumbing down the news, che vuol dire quasi instupidire le notizie per la popolazione generale. Quindi ovviamente i social media, che sono ancora più immediati, che sono ancora magari più brevi per quanto riguarda quello comunque che si scrive, ovviamente incorrono in questo rischio. E poi comunque c'è anche da considerare il fatto che a molte persone piace magari mettere il mi piace o magari twittare con quell'hashtag per sentirsi parte di un movimento per cui magari non si sentono che possono insomma agire in prima persona. Quindi io direi che sì, forse a volte si può perdere il senso, però allo stesso tempo è quasi un'arma a doppio taglio, perché permette alle persone di prendere parte in un determinato avvenimento e di far conoscere al mondo quell'avvenimento, che è qualcosa che forse prima non succedeva, però allo stesso tempo, proprio come il giornalismo in generale, c'è bisogno anche di un'azione vera e propria. Non so se ho risposto alla tua domanda, però...
Vorrei aggiungere solo una cosa. Non possiamo essere tutti attivisti, no? Quindi se c'è un modo per supportare un'idea con un hashtag, ed è un supporto che può essere morale o di qualsiasi tipo vuoi fondamentalmente, quindi non possiamo pensare che i social media siano un posto in cui reclutare attivisti, no? Sono un modo per condividere dei messaggi. Solo questo.
C'è il microfono là.
Avete parlato dei
lavoro grafico e spesso mi hanno portato su articoli che magari non avrei facilmente scoperto, che si sono rivelati molto interessanti e costruttivi. Quindi il bello di Pinterest è anche appunto la possibilità di accedere a materiale che non è solamente visuale appunto, ma è anche elaborato, scritto articoli e appunto quindi materiale che possiamo rintracciare sulla rete.
Carolina ha spiegato bene, secondo me, qual è il punto di usare questi tipi di media, ed è il fatto che è un modo per noi, per persone giovani, con voglia di fare, con interessi, con talento, di farci sentire, di far vedere chi siamo, che cosa vogliamo fare nella nostra vita, che cosa facciamo nel mondo, ed è semplicemente un modo per far vedere che ci siamo anche noi, visto la generale situazione di crisi in cui si trova non solo il mondo del giornalismo, ma qualsiasi altro settore.
Sì, io per esempio, io vengo dalla Sardegna, vengo da Olbia, e quando ho deciso di fare domanda all'università in Inghilterra, i miei professori mi hanno detto se vuoi un buon modo di iniziare comunque a fare giornalismo è avere un blog, cosa che nessuno comunque nella mia città o nella mia classe al tempo, nel lontano 2011, aveva. Quindi io ho iniziato questo blog in italiano che si chiamava London Schooling, Londra chiama, fantasia proprio, in cui parlavo della mia vita universitaria a Londra. Anche perché io volevo disperatamente scrivere in italiano, che era la mia lingua, però nonostante i miei tentativi, nessuno dei miei giornali locali mi si filava. Quindi praticamente il mio unico modo di scrivere nella mia lingua era usare questo blog. Con gli anni questo blog, soprattutto al mio terzo anno, è diventato seguitissimo. A Londra sono stata intervistata da un paio di siti per italiani a Londra per questo blog, perché alla fine è diventato un blog molto turistico, o più che turistico facevo recensioni dei posti dove andavo. E praticamente in questo modo sono riuscita a farmi vedere anche da una serie di aziende. Sono diventata la community manager, cioè la persona che si occupa di tutti i social media di un'azienda di cacciatori di teste, che sono praticamente quelli che assumono le persone appena laureate. E poi questo mi ha fatto avvicinare all'industria del PR, public relations, comunicazioni, pubblicità. E adesso al lavoro c'è, io proprio Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, tutte queste cose qua le uso tantissimo, cioè noi creiamo campagne pubblicitarie che non vanno più in TV ma iniziano sui social media. Per esempio una delle aziende con cui lavoro è una sorta di classi, exercise classes in palestra, no? Tipo aerobica, queste cose qua, che è molto diciamo, è una cosa molto dura da fare perché sono esercizi molto faticosi, e hanno creato questa campagna pubblicitaria creando un antieroe sui social media, su YouTube, una persona finta molto sovrappeso che diceva va benissimo essere grassi, è fascista essere così, insomma, attivi fisicamente. E noi abbiamo creato un profilo Facebook, un profilo Twitter e un profilo YouTube per questa persona che sembrava quasi un avvocato appunto dell'essere obesi, che ha creato proprio un sacco di polemiche, e questo video su YouTube senza nessuna pubblicità praticamente è arrivato tipo a 50.000 views nel giro di 2 giorni. Ed era una persona finta che avevamo creato noi, quindi noi subito dopo, il giorno dopo, abbiamo detto scherzone, in realtà stiamo facendo pubblicità a questa azienda. Quindi, cioè, quando stai cercando di vendere un prodotto a persone che usano attivamente questi social media, tu subito devi entrare in quell'ottica e devi subito dire ok, devo creare un contenuto che queste persone vogliono condividere. E quindi alla fine sono passata da usare Twitter, diciamo, e Facebook per cavoli miei, per far vedere alla gente che cosa mangiavo, a usarlo per lavoro. E niente. Quindi adesso ho già parlato troppo, vai tu.
No, vabbè, per non ripetere già quello che avete già detto, vorrei solo far notare una cosa, che cioè, essendo la digital generation, cioè, quando uno si chiede come usiamo questi social media in un contesto professionale, in realtà non è che bisogna tanto di distinguere fra un contesto professionale e il contesto della nostra vita quotidiana, perché in realtà, come diceva un esperto di Generation Y, Jason Dorsey, millennials are not tech savvy, they're tech dependent, quindi cioè, non è che sanno semplicemente tanto di tecnologia, però dipendono veramente da tecnologia perché siamo nati in questo periodo in cui è proprio essenziale. E quindi niente, per quanto riguarda il lavoro vorrei dire anche che anche ancora prima del lavoro, io per dirti, per Facebook e LinkedIn anche lo uso per comunicare anche con i miei professori all'università, se devo dirgli, cioè piuttosto anche, cioè, si scrive anche le mail e cose del genere, però è molto più probabile che scrivo un messaggio su Facebook al mio professore direttamente perché so che è immediato e possiamo avere direttamente una conversazione, oppure su LinkedIn posso avere un professore che mi ha conosciuto che mi afferma delle competenze e quindi ancora prima di entrare nel campo lavorativo ho già una buona base su cui fondarmi.
Se ci sono un altro paio di domande abbiamo più o meno 6 minuti, 5 minuti. Prego. Eccole, 2 o più.
Would you agree with the idea that social media like Facebook causes this echo chamber effect where people follow things they like, they follow things they agree with, they see content only from their friends, and it's just reaffirming their own beliefs, reaffirming their own prejudices in some cases, and it's not actually challenging people, and people aren't going out and seeking out new things or things that challenge their own beliefs, they're just seeing their own thoughts echoed back at them.
Okay. So there's like a really interesting theory called falafel. That doesn't sound right. I think it's called philosophy, whatever. So like the idea that Facebook, what you're saying, Facebook creates a chamber where we're all just friends with one another, and on our news feed, right, there's an algorithm that shows it's based on what pages we've gone to, which friends we've talked to, and then just repeats that on our Facebooks. I've heard that Twitter, the algorithm is actually different, so that you get a wider kind of like cast of the things that you're seeing. But I think that that's like a really, really interesting point that us millennials actually have to be aware of. For example, I'm an activist in New York, and sometimes because my newsfeed is entirely based on like everybody I'm friends with in New York who's all very active, socially minded, when I get out of that bubble offline, sometimes there's a shock because why aren't people interested in these kinds of things like I'm seeing on my newsfeed? I think we have to be really aware of that and diversify who we're talking to, because if we just keep talking to our own communities, then we're not going to be able to get anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at the same time, I also think it's a danger that we always encounter with everything that we do, even with the traditional media. I remember while studying for my dissertation and looking at political discourse, even just like in the kind of media that we use, I found out that, for instance, conservative people would only read conservative newspapers, and like left-wing people would then read only left-wing newspapers. So you're never actually going out of that bubble. So I completely agree on one hand that social media are sort of like encouraging this, but at the same time, so are the traditional media. And I think it's also up to us to sort of seek out everything. Like before it was up to us to seek out a different publication that we would read normally, then it's also up to us to seek out a different sort of maybe social media user or a different social media platform. And I think like probably one good thing about interactive media and millennial media is that most outlets are actually there for you to see, and they're quite accessible right now.
I know that we have 2 more questions, and I know that we have 5 minutes. I just want to be aware of our time. Dobbiamo cambiare. Quindi noi siamo qui, se vogliamo continuare la conversazione, mi dispiace. Thank you all so much for coming. We really, really appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter. Let's have a conversation and make it global.
Thank you for your great questions as well. And if you have any more, we're outside. Thank you.